First, we have Anne Speckhard with us in just a moment. She's PhD, professor of psychiatry at Georgetown, and she is a world-class terrorism expert. Her new book, Talking to Terrorists, Understanding the Psychosocial Motivations of the Militant Jihadist Terrorist. Anne, welcome.
Thank you.
Anne is one of the best. She's one of the foremost experts on terrorism anywhere in the world. I have such a fascination with all this. I just saw Zero Dark 30. You're an expert. I'm an amateur. Here's what I don't understand. Okay, you're chasing bin Laden. Let's say you're that little redhead that was chasing him, did such a good job. I guess she caught him. Maybe that's the way the movie goes. I don't know. I don't know whether that's real. We can talk about the movie. But you're trying to penetrate the inner circle. You have a $25 million bounty on his head. Maybe there's 20 guys around him that are an inner circle. I mean, you're probably the world's greatest expert in Al-Qaeda. Why isn't there one guy to take the money? I mean, I understand these are all extremists and they think they're going to heaven with Allah and this, that, and the other. But surely we could seduce one guy in the inner circle. I mean, nothing could be that pure. Hitler's guys weren't that pure. Stalin's guys weren't that pure. Nothing's ever been that pure. Is this something like the world has never seen before?
It's a good question. I can't answer that. They're very dedicated to him, or they were before he was killed. And I think he was very, very careful about who he let know where he lived. Although there's that huge question of how could he be living so close to the military academy in Pakistan? You know, what kind of ally do we have here?
Well, see, See, here's what I think. I'm a cynic. Let me give you my thought. My thought is, and you tell me, you're the expert, after 9/11, and I have no inside information with this. This is just my theorizing about international relations. After 9/11, Bush could have captured him, and if he can't capture him, Lockheed Martin will get him, or General Dynamics. You put a contract out, they'll get him. The Earth's only so big. I mean, it's a joke. But we didn't want to destabilize Pakistan. We didn't want to bring an Islamic government to power in Pakistan. So Bush kind of quietly made a deal. He said, we're going to leave the top ranks of Al-Qaeda alone. You, Pakistan, play ball. We'll give you some money. You help us in the war on terror. Just isolate these guys. Everything's fine. Bush knew where he was. He knew he was in Pakistan. We kind of walked away from it. Is that true? You think that's true?
I think it's a good conspiracy theory, but...
Is it true, though?
I don't know.
Okay. What do you think? I mean, why was it so hard to capture this guy? I mean, you know, Earth's one of the smaller planets. It's not Jupiter. I mean, we're not Saturn. I mean, the Earth's only so big, right? I mean, we kind of knew he wasn't in a cave, just like the movie brought up, but it's logical. The CIA knew this guy wasn't in a cave because he couldn't run the global organization. So we knew he was somewhere in a city. Should it have really taken that long to capture him? Or maybe Bush didn't want to do it at all. Obama was reluctant. See, my thinking was, we thought for the longest time we didn't want to take this guy because if we took him alive, we'd have to give him a lawyer. Just like we gave Hermann Goring a lawyer, we would have given Hitler a lawyer, right? We would have given Goebbels a lawyer, but we'd have had to give him a lawyer. Now, at the end of the day, Obama just felt the politics. He just said the hell with it all and shot him in cold blood, right? Which was the right thing to do. But do you think the U.S. government was afraid of just taking him alive? Was that the problem?
I think you're wrong that he was not shot in cold blood. If you read the SEALs account, if it's correct, which I trust it is, they were firing at the SEALs that were coming into the house, so they were taking fire, and in those circumstances they have the right to fire back. Osama bin Laden reportedly had a firearm in his hands, and they had already been shot at, taken fire. So, as I understand the SEALs' orders at this time, it wasn't always this way in the past. They just didn't go in and just assassinate people.
Okay. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm giving them credit. Even if they did, I say it's okay. But you're saying they didn't. Now, maybe I'm a prisoner of Hollywood like everybody else. I'm looking at the movie. In the movie, they took no fire when they went into the home, right?
No, they did.
They did take fire? They shot at them?
Yep.
Oh, I didn't notice that. I thought they took no fire.
They blew the door, and the guy shot back at him, and they shot him, and his wife and his children were there right next to him.
Well, in any case, I'm glad they shot him. Even if they did shoot him in cold blood, I'm glad. I don't care if they tortured him in cold blood. That's fine. But what I'm saying is, it seems to me that both Bush and Obama had a fear that this guy would somehow be taken alive, and they would end up with a phone call saying, you know, we captured a guy, we think he's Osama, we're not sure, now he's in a cell on a ship somewhere, what the heck do we do with him? I think that was the animating fear that caused Bush and Obama not to move on this quickly.
It would have caused a lot of problems, you're right, to have Osama bin Laden in custody, although it would have been really interesting, too. Because do you remember Saddam Hussein coming out of the hole in the ground? Do you remember those pictures of Sheikh Mohammed?
No, sure.
And how awful they look. And in a way, I think it might have been good if Osama bin Laden was discredited.
Like, in other words, there's a chance. Are you saying there's a chance he could have emerged as a sympathetic figure, if not in the States, maybe abroad? Maybe the Europeans might have, in their own twisted way, found him sympathetic?
No, I don't think so. I think that he would have looked like a much smaller figure than his mythical self. In a way, when we confront the real man, who is this real man? He's only a man, and he's very deluded. And his myth was something completely different.
So take us inside the mind of these people. Is there any logical, rational, even in their own mind, explanation for what they do? In other words, I guess what I'm thinking is he views himself as an anti-colonial warrior fighting against oppressive American and British colonialism in the Mideast and throughout the world. Is that how he sees the world, or is it even less organized than that?
Well, that's what I did. I went and tried to get into their heads. So I went and spoke to over 400 terrorists, their family members, and their close associates, even their hostages from Nordost and Beslan. And what I found was that if you're in a conflict zone, it's really revenge and trauma-driven. So if you kill my sister, I'll join a group and I might come back and try to kill yours. And but if you go into Western Europe and you're dealing with people that don't live in conflict zones, it's a different set of motivators, and that's more about discrimination, marginalization.
Did he feel, in other words, did he feel the need in his own mind to justify this? Did he just strategize about how to blow up America, or did he feel the need to justify? Was there a justification? The justification being this is an evil colonial power. Did he at least justify it?
Definitely, he justified it. And remember that his Zawahiri came out of Egypt, where people that were fighting against a dictatorial regime were tortured. So those people that had been victims of torture were looking for something, some ideology, something to justify fighting back. You should never, ever justify killing civilians. And it's interesting because Osama bin Laden, in some of his writings, says, you've gone too far, you shouldn't be doing these things.
To his own people, he said that?
Yes, and even said indiscriminate killing, which is interesting that many terrorist leaders end up saying that because they push their followers.
You may see him the same. See, I see him kind of like I see Hitler. In other words, I think Hitler within his own constellation may have been a kind of moderate, because I say to myself, how could a guy be so rational to take over Germany and then to be so irrational that they're going to be preoccupied with prison camps and diluting resources and going after Jews and crazy stuff? You have the rational man and then you have the irrational man. They don't coexist. In other words, Osama might be the same way, because you look at him, on the one hand, he's smart enough to put together the global organization, but on the other hand, there's this perception of a crazy man who does a lot of crazy things. And the two don't mesh, right?
Well, I think we're all like
wrap after this.
We have our emotional motivators and we have our rationale and our strategy in our lives. And, we can be quite contradictory.
All right. Anne Speckhard, professor of psychiatry, Georgetown, expert on terrorism, Talking to Terrorists, her new books. You got to read it. And, Anne, thank you so much for being with us. We'd love to have you back.
You're welcome.
Come on back.